The BIPOC Coach Collective proudly presents Elevate and Celebrate. This is a podcast to showcase our members, dive deeper into their journeys, and express who they are into the world. Our mission is to curate a brave and authentic space for coaches to connect and to elevate our voices globally in the coaching profession. Learn more about us at bipoccc.org. Your story matters, your voice matters. Let's start the show. Welcome to this month's episode of Elevate and Celebrate. My name is Alex Dumas. I'm the Vice President of the BIPOC Coach Collective, and I'm super excited to introduce our next guest. This is someone that I've known for several years. She's a powerhouse coach. She's somebody who is super thoughtful. She's an interested introvert. You're going to hear more about that in this conversation, and I'll give you a little quick snapshot of who she is in the world. Gina R. Smith, you want to be exact, is an executive life coach who brings more than 30 years of experience in healthcare sales and sales leadership to the table. She's led, developed, and coached throughout her corporate career. And she knows what it's like to be killing yourself to do your job. And she's on a mission to help professionals stop burnout, learn to thrive, and create enduring successes in their lives. She's going to share with us a little bit about how our health is our wealth. She's going to go into her military background. She's going to express more about this second chapter of her life as she's building her coaching practice, working with corporates, working with executives to make a difference in their world. And I'm so blessed that she's somebody that has been a part of this collective and has contributed so much. And just for a reminder, we're not having any facilitation calls in the summer. So July and August, we're off of facilitation calls and networking calls. We're going to see you all again in September, where we're going to be recharged, rejuvenated, pumped up, and ready to serve at a high level to close out 2023. So all that said and done, allow me to introduce to you Gina R. Smith. Let's go. Yay! Here we are, Gina. I want to thank you for being our guest for this month. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you. This is a little bit of a selfish thing because I know you already for a couple of years. So this is more fun for me than the audience, but they're going to get a lot of it out of it too. So thank you first and foremost for creating some time to be with us.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited about having some fun with you and having this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I read off in the intro that you've got all these years of experience in healthcare sales. You're an executive coach. I would love to just have you explain a little bit about your journey and what has created you.
Wow, what has created me? Starting with my family. That's the first place I got created. But we're talking about the career and professional experience I've had. I am starting with military service as an officer in the U.S. Air Force. It's really my first management job that at a very young age, they put me in charge of 250 people and a bunch of airplanes. But you learn some things. There's a lot of value in the military because they have really good systems. And for the Air Force, I don't know about the other services, we had really good leadership training, and you have to learn how to lead as a young person with all of these people that are much older than you and much more experienced than you. And I've always been a leader that's wanted to be involved, hands-on. This very old phrase, management by walking around. I was that person that wanted to be, understand what's really going on and how things work. And left the military after 5 years and spent 5 years as a military wife in Europe, doing just kind of dumb jobs, but nothing is wasted. So all those jobs added up to my story. And when I returned to the US, I got my first corporate job working for Weyerhaeuser Paper Company. And I started in HR actually, because I didn't have a background in any other specialty, and always had I was in HR maybe 6 years and had some unique jobs because I've never been on I've never had a plan. I don't have a 5 or 10 year plan, never had one. Um, just being honest. But I've had some unique jobs. I had some HR jobs, but they were tied to when doing some of the Japanese quality processes that were popular back in the 90s and 80s that companies were doing. I was the HR leader of a Greenfield startup for a distribution center that my company built, and um, was the leader in a fight against a union that was trying to organize people in our company. Most healthcare companies are anti-union, not because they want to treat people badly, but they don't ever want to be able to not cross the picket line at a hospital to
Mhm.
deliver supplies. And then in the course of spending about a year in Boston doing this campaign, at the time, all of the regional sales managers had offices in these distribution centers. And I was actually really tired of HR. I was tired of kind of year after year, getting to the end of the year, laying people off, laying people off with a smile on your face. Horrible. And I just, I'd gotten to know these sales managers and went in and talked to this guy. And he was like, we can't find anybody for this job. So I was like, oh, well, what is it? And so he described it to me, and I was like, yeah, I could probably do that. And we kind of went through an interview process, and I was selected for the job. And that resulted in me spending 30 years in healthcare sales. And about half of that time, I was a sales representative, and the other half of that time in various leadership roles for sales teams. So I sold to hospitals.
Yeah.
I sold disposable supplies to the big procedure areas, the operating room, cath lab, radiology.
Mhm.
And then I led teams in those same product lines. And my last 4 years working, I moved over to a pharmacy product, which was interesting. I wanted to just, again, I like to do new stuff.
I couldn't
Almost,
tell.
yeah, almost every job I've had has been like, we can't find anybody for this job, or like, no one's done this before. Or we have this new position, but we've never done it this way before. We're not sure how it's going to work. And that's been a very big pattern in my life, and I'm still in that pattern. But you know, I did very consultative selling, so very relationship building, very relationship based, high contact. It was a customized product, so lots of contact, repeat contact with my customers. And I learned a lot from that experience. And when I became a sales leader, again, I still liked that management by walking around, and I liked that whole concept of servant leadership, so that not that the team runs me, but that I am serving them as a leader so they can do their best. Then my job is done. If they do their best, then I'm on stage. So, and not to say that disrespectfully, but that's how the system works.
Yeah.
And finally in 2020, no one expected COVID to come about, and it did. And all of a sudden we were grounded.
Mm.
And one of the things I loved about sales is the being out with the customer. I didn't want an office job. I've never wanted an office job. And with thinking back to that year, it was so unpredictable. No one knew what was going to happen. So for a year, we learned to um, one, to manage my team virtually, manage customers virtually, try to sell virtually, all of this stuff, thinking that that would end at the end of 2021, 2020, and it didn't. It crept into 2021. And I started to see, and customers started to tell us, we kind of like this. You don't need to come and see us in the hospital unless we ask you to do that. So it just took a lot out of what I really loved and enjoyed about selling. And I could see a future where, for the product line I was associated with, this pharmacy product line doesn't require demonstration or showing someone how to use it or whatever. And I understand with the pandemic, hospitals are trying to keep all unnecessary people out. including salespeople. And it just took a lot of wind out of me. And I'd been in the background. Um, I always intended to be a coach. And in the background, I had gotten a couple of certifications while I was still working. But what I found while I was working, that I just really had no time or capacity to really try to build it into a business. So I kind of dabbled with a client here or there, or a group here or there. And a bunch of things happened in 2021
Mhm.
that were just signs that said, it's time for you to go. You're done here. And I mean, I honestly, I had amazing opportunity available to me at the company I worked with had I wanted it. And I just looked at the future and just like, I really don't want to be working like this on video in this kind of job, just all day sitting behind my desk on video, and the rare opportunity to go out and interact with customers. There's some things were going on. My mom is still alive, and she lives in Phoenix. One of my siblings and some other family members live here. And it's like, you know what? It's time for me to just move and really get going and building this business that I've been thinking of for all these years. And so here I am.
Here you are. Yeah. What a journey. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm really interested just to kind of go back to the beginning for a minute, like your experience in the military, right? Being
Mhm.
at a young age, and you kind of touched on it with older people, more experienced people, and you're put in a position to lead them and manage them. What was that experience like for you, not only just because of age, but also, a woman of color? Like, what did you experience in that time?
So thankfully, so my dad was in the Air Force, and he was enlisted. I went to officers candidate school after I graduated from college and became an officer. And he said, he gave me some really good advice. He said, find a good NCO, which is how they refer to enlisted people,
Mm.
and learn from him, and don't be a jerk. So because sometimes people, it's I'm an officer, and the military works on rank and file. If I'm an officer and you're not, I can pretty much tell you what to do, and it's in order. You can do life that way,
Yeah.
or you can do life in a completely different way. And no doubt it was intimidating. Um, Gosh, maybe I was 23, and you're working with someone that's 50, but you outrank them. So how do you learn to, my superpower is people. My superpower is connecting with people. And
Yeah.
my superpower is understanding people and learn and being able to work with people where they are. And I use that to really cultivate, okay, who's the person I need to make a really good relationship from and learn from? Who are the people I need to influence? I had a lot of times when I had to be really strong
Yeah.
um, with people in difficult situations, or difficult things happened. I had an interesting job. I did not want an office job. So I was in aircraft maintenance, and I basically ran the operations on a flight line. So it's tough and it's stressful, um, and it's a long day. But I think just my wanting to understand people and be really straight up with people, um, and to work with people versus saying, I'm in charge and you have to do what I say, was part of the reason I was very successful in what I did.
Yeah. What's interesting for me is hearing your story. I take two sides of this, right? Like the visual side, like you're very put together. You got the glasses, so you would think like, oh, Gina's like very introverted. She's very like to herself, but you're very observant. But also this other side of being around people, not wanting to be tied to this desk. Just, I mean, we're right now communicating via Zoom, but like
Yeah.
a whole day of this, I imagine would be pretty draining and not fulfilling. You like to be in the mix, be in where the people are, and connect.
So that's an interesting observation. You know who John Maxwell is, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I heard a talk by him one time, and he used this term, interested introverts, which is how I see myself. I don't see myself as an extrovert, but a very interested introvert because I really love people.
Yeah.
People are my thing. I'm endlessly fascinated by humanity and all the just the variety is endless, right? The variety of people we can encounter is endless. And I do have those times if I'm in a big event or something, I have to go back to my room or something because it's the energy's too much for me.
Yeah.
So I do have those times. There's the parts of me that are like the quiet introvert at home in the quiet.
No, I get that. And speaking of big events, I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to give you your flowers now. Hence, why I'm wearing the
I,
flower
I
shirt for
like
me.
the shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, there's multiple meanings behind the flower things for me. I'll get into that another time. But for you, we had an opportunity to meet in person in January 2022, which was awesome. From an event in Phoenix, me and a couple folks ran called the Ultimate Experience, and you just explaining your history in sales and how you work with clients, it ties it back to this thing you did for me. What you did for me was really powerful, really amazing. So for you listening right now, you won't be able to see this, but for you watching, you remember this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who are listening, I'm holding up a card that Gina sent to me maybe a few weeks after this event had happened. It's a picture of me on the stage with a microphone and in a personalized note. And I thought to myself, she gets it. She gets what it's like to astonish people, what it's like to elevate somebody and see somebody. Because in the moments that I kind of get down or I doubt myself or I'm kind of like, man, what am I doing? Right? We played mind games with ourselves. I had this on my desk and I'll just look, I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. That like I'm him. I'm that guy. Be that guy in whatever conversation, whatever I'm doing, and not get distracted or off track of or think that something's different. Like, no, I'm that guy, and I want to just share my appreciation for you, allowing me to see that, and I have a visual of like a tangible thing. Like, hey, that's me. I'm that badass guy who's on that stage rocking this mic. So, thank you for seeing me. Thank you for wowing me because that's something I would do for somebody else. Like I would just love to give them something that's like, oh my goodness, whoa,
You are welcome. I was so proud of you.
thank you.
Like I didn't really know. I think I didn't know that whole thing was happening.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Tell
I
me, tell us more
ironically,
about that.
Judy Thurston,
Yeah,
I actually kind of she should be paying me because I introduced her to Steve. I posted something about, I think, I don't know if it was a Happy Pocket Full of Money or one of those money books that he recommends, and I posted it. And Judy had been in my group at a Rich Living Intensive.
yeah,
She's transformed so much since then. Um, and so I had just moved out here and she invited me to this retreat. And she said, oh, and then we're going to have a chance to go to this book event where Steve will give out signed books. But I had no idea like about the whole thing. I had no idea that you were involved.
yeah.
I didn't know all the people of the six pack plus,
Right.
or whatever you guys were calling yourselves. But I was just so proud of you because you owned it
Thank you.
and you were just having so much fun doing it.
Yeah, yeah. It was a blast. It was definitely a life changing experience for me.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure for
good.
for other people in that room, and I'm curious about what about people interests you so much? Like, what do you see that other people don't see?
It's my curiosity to know what makes people tick.
Hmm.
And it's also my curiosity to just understand, like, where did you come from and why are you viewing or participating in life in this way?
Yeah. Where does that
And
come from for
I
you?
just, I just love people. I mean, there's no real There's no like logical or academic
Yeah.
answer to that. I just love people. It's really hard for me to dislike someone. Like if I don't like a person, they've tried really hard to make that happen.
No.
So I generally start out and I just like I start out liking you. Yeah. I
Yeah.
start out and I always this is, you know, I was talking to someone when I was still working. It's like I always fell in love with the people on my team. It was a work relationship, but I really loved them.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. And, just following you on the socials, I get that's the type of experience that your clients get too. Right? They just feel this love. They feel this unbending support, and also this the straightness. Right? Like you're very straight. Like there's no dancing around. Like you call it how you see it, but it's all for that person's benefit. It's not to condemn or shame anybody. It's really to help them grow into who you see they can be. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say. And you know, my the work I want to do with people is to, you know, a lot of people look at coaching as like, you know, somebody's life's a wreck and you got to help them fix it. That's really not the work I'm interested in. I'm really interested in helping people like, okay, let's go to the next level.
Yeah.
What do you want next? What is that dream that you're afraid to talk about? Um, I want to help people be better versus trying to fix people because I don't really, to me, that's not a thing I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure it's a thing that works. And that's one of the challenges is, you know, as I'm building, I'm hoping to build, you know, with corporations. And a lot of times companies use coaching to try to fix people.
Mm.
And it generally is a waste of money to do that. You know,
Yeah.
John's been a jerk for 25 years. Let's get him a coach.
That'll do the trick. That'll fix him right up.
Yeah. Let's get him a coach because he helps us make so much money. We can't really fire him, but let's get him a coach.
Yeah.
That's usually not a working formula.
Mm.
I've seen it.
Yeah. So in your experience, through your lens, what do you see as a different opportunity or possibility for these kind of
I
for
think,
for a scenario like that, right? Let's take John, 25 years, great at what he does, but maybe character issues. Maybe he's just like a jerk around the office. Who knows?
you know, one, the other thing that's dependent is does the person want to be coached
Yeah.
versus someone saying, we're going to get you a coach now. We're going to get you a coach now.
Get you a coaching intervention.
Excuse me. And they're not even interested in participating.
Right.
You know, I think there's a difference. And if John is like, okay, I'm realizing I need to change some things here.
Yeah.
And John's willing to participate actively to do that. That's one thing versus this being an assignment and John, you know, may or may not show up for his sessions um, because he's not really interested in changing and applying those things.
Yeah. I think of it like back in high school where I would get sent to like guidance counselors. All right, they told me to be here for this period, so let's wrap it up. Check the box,
Yeah,
and
I showed up.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did my part, right? And
Yeah.
I love that what you said, like an active participant. That's really important.
I so far I've had one corporate client and talking to the person who, you know, connected me and set the whole thing up, they were like, I said, well, you know, what kind of uh, I think it's a sacred relationship between me and the client,
Yeah.
but some companies want some kind of report or something. And she said, I just want to know if they showed up because we do these things and half the people don't even show up.
Uh,
So I was just stunned by that because corporations, when they do hire coaches, spend a lot of money. So it's like, wow, you just want to know if they show up.
yeah, that's that's such a low hanging thing, right?
But I think, you know, and I'm in conversation with somebody now that's new at a company, and they said, their objective is to change the focus of what coaches are being hired for.
Hmm.
To, okay, we have people we want to retain, we have people we want to develop. That's who we want to point toward coaching, versus using corrective action is a whole other thing, versus using coaching as corrective action and seeing coaching as an investment in people. So hoping more and more people who are in companies see coaching in that way.
Yeah, definitely agree with that, and definitely aligns with what you said before about helping people get better or
Yeah,
achieve what they want. Right? It's
right.
not this, oh my goodness, my world's falling apart. I guess I need a coach. Like that's you're gonna need somebody else besides a coach in this case,
Yeah.
right? For kind of a crisis.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is all about creation. And you mentioned this coach already, Rich Litvin, and Steve Hardison, and through their circle is how we met. I want to just give people some context
Yeah.
about how we connected, and this is going to lead me into the next phase of this conversation. So, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about the Kaleo project and what that was like for you.
Yeah, that's where we met, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've
that
done so
is.
many things with Rich. It's
I
like
know.
I was trying to like remember the name, because there's so many names for different things. So we were together
Yeah,
in a unique group of diverse coaches pulled,
yeah,
I think specifically all Black coaches, right?
yeah, yeah,
Together during the pandemic. And Rich really wanted to serve our community and help to build us up, to serve more people during the pandemic. So that was a wonderful experience. One, just seeing all of us in a room,
yeah, yeah,
people you don't know, never heard of. Um, and then just having some basis for, um, Black people are by no means a monolith, but some shared experience and shared points of reference and background, through that, gosh, was that? It was 6 months. It was quite a long time.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, maybe 4 or 5 months, like it's 100 days or something like that
Yeah.
sort. Yeah, the summer of 2020. Yeah,
And then so I've seen now lots of those other, not those people, not all of them, but are still in my world
yeah,
after meeting them, and just meeting, just like in this group, a fantastic group of coaches and people of color. And there's still not nearly enough of us out there, but that we're growing in this profession.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the Kaleo project was the first experience I had where I was in a room of other coaches who looked like me. That was
Yeah.
it blew me away. And then shortly after that, I think within a few months, simultaneously with the Kaleo project ending, found my way into the collective, and it was just perfect timing. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about. I think I was the one who introduced you to the to the BIPOC collective about just your journey of with us.
Again, I've been just astonished at the people in the room.
Yeah.
And this is a bigger group, I think, than we had in Kaleo Project. And just seeing just seeing us on screen is an experience. And then learning about all of the people who have created fantastic businesses out there, coaching, consulting, teaching, all of this. I think it spans more than just coaching, all of the different things that can be part of it. And I've learned from people in the group who have, experiences that I haven't had, or have been in this industry longer than I have, and just made some great connections as well.
Yeah, yeah, but we're incredibly blessed, thrilled, honored to have you be a part of this and contribute, especially through this kind of conversation and all the things you're doing, and just being an example, right? Being a model of what that looks like when you're passionate about something, passionate about people, and you're really intentional about making positive change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
The other
always a
thing is,
recipe for success.
yeah. And the other thing is, this is my second chapter in terms of what I'm doing in life. And also it's just like, well, everyone creates what they want, but I really want to create, I'm 66 and I'm building a business. And I want to show people that that's possible. If that's something you desire, you don't have to get to a certain age and go, well, I'm no good anymore.
Yeah.
Um, this is this is timeless. You don't have to, we know people in these various communities that are in their 70s, 80s, still practicing, still helping people. So, you need your mind to work. And if I still want to be serving people when I'm those ages, I'd love to be able to do it.
Yeah. I say it a lot. Service never goes out of style.
No, never ages out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is so incredible. I have so much I want to ask you, but you kind of touched on it right there where if I was curious about, what do you, I know you don't do the 5, 10 year plans, but I'm like, what are you excited about next? Like what's kind of coming up or top of mind for you that you're really excited about in your business?
So, my business is still in formation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to define my niche. I don't know that I need a niche.
You
I
said the
work,
dreaded N word.
I work with, I know lots of people that have no niche and they have fantastic businesses.
Yeah.
And then I work with people saying you have to at least narrow down to your ideal client
Yeah.
so that your messaging gets to them. So, I mean, I have a few things going on when I'm trying to build my individual one-on-one clientele.
Yeah.
But I also am working on a thing that's emerging more as I work is leadership.
Hmm.
And I've been a leader like all the time. I've been a leader. I think I was born to be a leader.
Well, I saw that
And
firsthand at the ultimate experience. I was scrambling around trying to rally people, trying to organize things, and you were like, "Hey, what do you need me to do? Like, I got this. Phew. You need me to block off this section. You need me to strong arm the door. You need me to do this." Like, you just took it, just
yeah.
went for it, and I could trust you to do that because I know your caliber and just the kind of person you are. Like, oh yeah, Gina's got it. I don't have to worry.
So, through a series of events, I was introduced to some people at the career services at the School of Business. Arizona State is here in Phoenix.
Okay.
And I've heard they were looking for someone to hire. And I was like, I'm kind of not looking for like a regular JLB. But what is possible for us to create for what's a role that you would use a consultant for?
Right.
And the person I was working with said, "Hey, why don't you work on something and come back to me?" So I dug into like my experience and came up with this thing called Power Skills.
Mhm.
So it's a set of people used to call this stuff soft skills. There's no such thing. They're the power skills because they're the skills that if you don't have, you get to a certain point, you're going to stall.
Okay.
There's skills that you need for life. So there's three segments of it. One segment is around leadership, and it's around leading from all different perspectives. Leadership isn't just from the front. You lead alongside people.
Yeah.
Sometimes you lead from below. You have to manage up. Um, you lead you do lead in front. So how do we look at all those aspects of leadership and give people tools for that, and then have them write their own leadership manifesto at the end of that section? The other section is about communication because pretty much everything that doesn't go right is a lack of communication. I was doing two pieces of this seminar for some students at ASU a couple of weeks ago, and doing some research, like the Challenger space shuttle crashed because of poor communication,
Wow.
and something was poorly communicated in a PowerPoint. People die from poor communication. So listening, a skill we don't think about because everybody is just talking, 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 talking over each other. Um, and then how to communicate, how to be your word.
Oof. Mm, yeah. Be
And then the third part is sort of about being, because people aren't talking about that. Who are you being? Because who you are being informs how you lead and how you um leaders also know how to follow other leaders. So how do you lead? How do you lead in a powerful room of powerful leaders? All of that. So I'm working on that. And I'm working to develop it as something I hope to be able to take to corporations. It's not research, it's not philosophy. These are skills you need. And taking some of the things that, we've learned from Hardison, Chandler, Litvin,
yeah.
all of those, agreements versus expectations, tools like that, but they're tools
Yeah.
that people can use. And these are tools you can actually use to manage and to lead if you want to take them. So that's what I'm really excited about. I'm working on now. I don't know where it's going to go. And kind of like everybody else, I'll start working on it and be like, well, who are you? You're not an expert.
Oh no. Oh no.
You have to fight that stuff in your head
Yeah.
that they're looking for somebody with a
You need to get you a
PhD.
card like this. You need to get
Yeah.
you a Gina
They're
card.
looking for somebody with a PhD, and none of that's true. And just, working against those messages in my head. And um, I'm just excited about that. And, doing stuff like creating my signature talk, which I don't really have yet. And someday, probably writing a book.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, you all heard it
I
here
like to get
first.
on stages. So thanks for having me on this stage. I'd love to be on many more stages and stages where I can sell. So,
Yeah. Well, we need you on more stages. Your message, your experience, incredibly valuable. And and I get it, right? We played the mind game of like, who am I? I'm like, well, I gotta go back into my courtroom. That's what I call it, and build up
okay, I
my
like
defense. Build up my defense of like my real evidence, because my prosecution is trying to. Those are my limiting beliefs, my fears, my doubts, all these little things.
it.
Like, well, Alex, you're not that. Gina, you can't do that. And who are you to? Like, no, no, no. This is the
Yeah.
defense over here. This is the real me. This is the stuff that I've done, the impact I've made, the people I've served. This is the real deal. Now you got,
Yeah.
it's your job to prove it. I got evidence. I got a card. Prove it.
Yeah, I was just sitting this morning writing some stuff. It's like, what's true now? I know it's true now.
Mm.
You're trying to regulate your central nervous system that because that voice is like, meow, 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 meow. It's like, oh no, what's true now? Just stop. Just shut up.
Your voice sounds like mine. Mine's like it's like a little gremlin.
Yeah, like a little gremlin that just doesn't stop talking.
Yeah.
And Melissa Ford, right?
Yeah. Yeah. She's awesome.
She's awesome. She I was did some work with her last year, and she recommended a book to me called It's Just a Thought.
Ooh.
It's really good. I think the author's name is Amy Johnson. Um, but it's all about the chatter in your head and learning to go, okay, that's just a thought. It's not true. It's just a thought.
I'm looking around. I'm trying to see because there's this
See if you
book.
already have it.
No, no, I don't. I know I don't have that one. I was looking for one that a mutual colleague of ours. There you go. Coach T, Teresa Campbell. She gifted me this book a couple years ago. There's nothing wrong with you
Ah,
going beyond self hate. This is something that I go back with
right there.
clients. Yeah, that I. It's Sherry Huber's the author of that, and it's something that I share with clients all the time. I share passages with people all the time because that's we got going back to that premise, right? There's nothing to fix with somebody. There's nothing wrong with anybody.
Right.
If we can just get that foundational thing done out of the way, that opens up so much in the
Yeah.
coaching, and it makes it a lot smoother for someone to be receptive and actually take action.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people walk around and it's like, what's wrong with me? Because something in their life hasn't worked, whether it's
Yeah.
they're divorced or, their job, they got let go or whatever. It's like, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Talking to somebody yesterday, it's like, there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Let's look at the situation. Let's look how you're reacting. Let's look at what you're choosing,
Yeah.
but you are perfect as you are.
Absolutely. And it goes back to that idea, or not even idea, but just the way of being, right? If I'm being
Mhm.
this way with it, I'm creating that. All right.
Yeah.
If I want something different, I have the opportunity and the obligation to myself to look at it differently.
Yes. Yes.
It's awesome. So, I'm excited for in a couple months you're going to be a guest facilitator, guest speaker, right? You command stages. Well, we're giving you more stages.
Thank you.
So, can you just give us a quick little rundown about what you're going to be working with our group about?
So what I'm going to be working with the group about, it's all about you. And it's actually a talk I developed for a group a couple of years ago called Your Health is Your Wealth. I like acronyms, and I created an acronym around wealth because we don't, we stop looking at ourselves. We stop taking care of ourselves, even in this realm where we go out, it's like, I left corporate. I'm free now. But then I go out and I recreate a life
Mm,
that duplicates that. I recreate a life where I'm burning myself out or, all of this stuff. So um, I, I use this acronym. W is for white space. What are you doing with your mind? How are you spending some time with your mind? Just some simple things on what does eating well look like? What does activity look like? What is love and connection? Because nobody talks about that as part of your well-being and your wealth. What does time management look like? Or you're managing yourself in time look like? And how does habit change affect all this? So it's really very personal about you. I'll have a workbook I'll send that people can write down some notes while they're going through it. And hopefully getting people looking at considering their well-being is part of wealth. Like if you're not well, what kind of future do you have? Who, those of us who step out and we're solopreneurs or whatever, who is going to take care of you? Who's going to take care of your business, your
Right.
family? And unfortunately, in our community, we have the worst statistics for lifestyle disease
Yeah.
of any, I think, other than indigenous populations, of
Yeah.
all other populations in this country. So, how do we avoid those lifestyle diseases by choices that we make? And that's part of your wealth.
Yeah. Well,
That's a quick synopsis of that talk.
yeah, thank you for that. And I'm gonna have to go back for a second and challenge you on this idea that you don't have a signature talk. I mean, come on. I think we got something here.
Okay. Well, maybe I do.
I
Maybe
think we
it's
got
done and you can let me know.
I think we got something here, right? Just that's my ego view. That's what I hear through my being.
Okay.
I think it's powerful for people to really grasp all these areas and not to be perfect in them, but just awareness of, man, am I
Mhm.
really loving myself? Am I treating myself well? Am I being a time warrior, as Steve Chandler talks about, instead of a
Great.
time worrier of, oh, I got to
Yeah.
get done and contract and not expand?
I mean, you think of the love and connection piece. How many people have you known who are like, I'm doing this for my family? And then they go home one day and the house is empty because what is it?
Or they resent them because I'm
Yeah.
doing all this work for you. Nobody
And the kids
appreciates me.
go, I don't know my dad or mom
Yeah,
because they're always working. So you want to be that place in life where you let whatever it is you're doing dominate so much that you haven't taken care of that because it's an important part of your life. It's an important part of your well-being, and it's an important part of your wealth. I mean, people are part of your wealth.
yeah, we kind of need each other.
Yeah.
Hard to do this thing alone. This has been such a rich, right, tying into this wealth idea, this wealth premise. such a rich conversation. And I want to just leave off with, is there anything that you haven't said that you want to share or express before we close this out?
It's been such a rich conversation. I don't think so. It's been wonderful. And I'm really looking forward to serving the group later on in the month.
Fantastic. And for the people out there who maybe are not part of our community, but they're hearing this, watching this, they want to connect with you, what's the best way that they can stay in touch?
So the best way, there's two places I'm most visible, and that's Facebook and LinkedIn. I have a website. It's really easy. It's GinaRsmith.com. Nobody goes to websites anymore. But hit me up on the social. I have a website because I'm afraid not to have a website. I'm not sure anybody goes to websites anymore. Hit me up on the social, LinkedIn or Facebook, Gina R. Smith, and you'll recognize my face.
It's a great face. You're a great
I'd
person.
love to connect with more people.
Yes. Great face, great person, great story, and even greater transformations and creations that are happening in this second chapter. I can't wait to see what you do with this and to read this book. I better get a signed copy or something. Like,
Oh, for sure.
hook a dude up.
All right.
All this said and done, we are closing out. We are going to enjoy this, soak this in. There's so many lessons in this for you all to watch, to experience, to embody. And I want to thank you again, Gina, for who you are, what you do, and most importantly, who you're being. I'll see you soon.
Same to you, Alex. Thank you.
Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this episode. If you got value from this, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. And feel free to connect with us at bipoccc.org. See you next time.